he had always declared that he would like to have a life just living in a remote part of Africa.
Yes.
And actually, despite his criticisms of the media, he's never really, and apart from the Britain is unconsciously biased stuff that they subsequently moved away from pretty rapidly, he's never really been down on Britain. He loves Britain. He served for his grandmother, Queen, and country. I wonder if some of this is to do with the fact that he was very homesick. And I wonder if she's made the calculation, look, this guy who is clearly a very devoted and loving husband and a devoted and loving father might just be happier in the UK, and happy daddy makes a happy family and a happy marriage.
Yeah, very possibly. And it might have taken for him to relocate thousands of miles away to actually recognise and to be able to accept in himself that actually his heart is in the UK and that's really where he wants to be.
Harry and Meghan moving back to the UK only makes sense if one of these eclipses is about to take that man with the crown out. And you need to be nearby because you know these lot will not alert you. Like, they will have you looking crazy out here. Because the same media that just digitally lynched this black man, Professor Jason Arday, came after your wife like I've never seen before. And then you want to move back? Oh, there has to be a really good reason. And I think I'm onto it. But what do I know? I'm just a little dumb blogger.
Grand rising, my little cherubs, and I do hope this finds you well. Breaking news. Well, I've got it on good authority that Harry and Meghan may be coming home to the UK. Notifications, confirmation. How amazing would that be? So I got a DM earlier and I had a little quick read. I was like, Harry and Meghan coming home soon? I was like, well, I doubt it'll be soon, but yeah. And the person said to me, no, it's been announced that they might be coming home. Have you not seen it on the news? I'm like, what? So I've gone looking round, and what I've managed to find at the moment, I'm literally going to say allegedly, because it's been a spokesperson close to the couple. And we know how spokespeople close to other people, how that really goes, don't we? We know 9 times out of 10 that's some made up codswallop. But for the benefit of the tape, I'm going to go with there might be an undercurrent of truth to this. So, apparently, Harry and Meghan have enrolled Archie and Lilibet into a school here. They have found themselves a property, and they'll be back. Now look, they've got this, like, they're coming back to the UK to live here, to stay here. They might just be getting a holiday home here, so when they visit, they've got privacy. But they're selling it as if they're moving back home. Now, personally, would I love to see Harry and Meghan back on British soil? Absolutely, I would love them back in the UK. Absolutely. For purely selfish reasons. Because I would love for her to bring her as ever brand with her, so that I could partake in some jam and order myself a fancy candle. Love candles. And I would love to be able to have access to that. That is selfish. That's me thinking of me. Sue me. However, are they making a permanent stop here in Britain? Probably not. They've got a whole life in Montecito. Like, they bought a property in Portugal. Did everyone think they was moving to Portugal? No, they didn't. So they might just be buying themselves a little property here that they can make nice and private. So when they do decide to come to the UK more on a regular basis, they've got somewhere to stay. Allegedly, they're not taking up any royal duties. Good for them. And if they do come back, it would just be for them to come back and just do what they do. So again, take this with a pinch of salt, because we don't know how true this is. We know the press has whipped us up into a frenzy before, but this for me would be great news. Get into the comment section. Tell me how you feel about Harry and Meghan and the possibility of them coming back to the UK. To stick it to the derangers, because how much fun would that be to watch? Oh, there's that petty elbow in me again. Anyway, you guys have an amazing night, and thank you to Miss Peg for the DM. Have a good day.
I understand that it might be hard to believe, but I have received the confirmation that I needed. This is happening. This is real. Harry, Meghan, and the children are moving to the UK. As of right now, it's not a permanent thing. They are presumably sending their kids there because they're moving right before the start of the next term. As of right now, what we've heard is that they will keep their Montecito house. I would think that if this works, the Montecito house eventually gets sold. Though I could see them keeping a place there because Meghan's mother is there. But this is happening. And I get, given everything that we've seen, why it feels like they wouldn't do this. Not after what's happened with Harry's security case, not after what happened with Harry visiting and the whole Buckingham Palace debacle. But it's also a reminder that we don't know these people. We think we know how they're going to act, but also we're basing that off of the limited information that we have. I would reckon that Harry and Meghan are not going to move back to the UK unless they feel satisfied that their children will be protected and that they can deal with whatever comes their way from the media. The thing is, they could stay in Montecito for the next 30 years, and there would still be an article every 2 months about how they are failing and no one likes them. There's going to be a narrative that they failed and that they're crawling back. It kind of doesn't matter. And I think at a certain point, you move beyond that criticism. You get to a place where you're like, they have done their worst. This doesn't have to touch me or affect me anymore. And it does seem like Meghan has done work on that. If you remember her, she did a podcast with Jamie Kern's someone, and she was talking a lot about kind of working through that stuff in that period in her life. I think that there are going to be people who struggle with this news. It doesn't align with what they think they know about Harry and Meghan. And that's a video I'm going to do another time.
We have some breaking royal news, very unexpected, and the fact that it didn't leak tells me that certain key players within the British royal family did not know about this, which is the fact that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, aka the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, are relocating back to the UK. And it's been 6 years since they lived there after stepping back from their royal duties back in 2020. They will be relocating this month with their 2 children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, with the children set to start school there in September. This was a People magazine exclusive, which tells me that this came straight from their team. Tells me that Prince William most likely did not know about this, or else it would have leaked through the British media already, and it did not. So they kept that close to the vest. I'm wondering if King Charles is sicker than what we know for this to be happening, especially since Harry was having a lot of issues fighting for the security for his family, for them to be moving back. I'm willing to bet that that's all squared away. It did say that even though they are relocating, they will be establishing a private non-royal home base in Britain while retaining their homes in California and Portugal, which means that they are not getting rid of their Montecito estate. And also, if we go back to 2020, they did say in their first initial statement that they wanted to split time between North America and the UK.
Am I the only one shocked by the news that Harry and Meghan are going to move back to Britain after 6 years in the US? Is it really just because Harry wants to get closer to his father in the presumably last couple years of his life? Notice that they will remain non-working royals, so they will not be asking for the taxpayers to pay for their existence there.
Squaddies, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This news about Harry and Meghan potentially coming back to Britain does not have me celebrating. It actually has me worried. And you know why? Because look at what is happening already. Harry and Meghan haven't even properly returned, and parts of the UK media are already having a field day with the story. And I'm sitting here thinking, if they're getting this much attention before they even arrive, what is going to happen when they're actually living there? That's what concerns me, because we haven't forgotten what happened to Meghan the first time around. This woman couldn't catch a break. Her clothes became a story, her facial expressions became a story, her friendships became a story, her family became a story. Even completely ordinary things could somehow be turned into another round of commentary. At some point, you're thinking, does this woman need permission to breathe? And that's the problem. I'm not saying every journalist in Britain is sitting around plotting against Meghan, let's be fair, but the sheer amount of attention placed on this woman was exhausting to watch. One story gets published, then another outlet picks it up, then a commentator discusses it, then another newspaper writes about that discussion, and suddenly something that should have lasted 5 minutes has become a 3-day media marathon. That's the machine I'm worried about, because Meghan isn't just returning to a country, she could potentially be returning to an environment where her every move becomes news. And Squaddies, that's why I'm sitting here saying, I am scared for this woman. Not because I don't trust Meghan, I absolutely believe Meghan knows how to handle herself. I'm worried because I know what happens when somebody is placed under that kind of constant microscope. Imagine going outside and knowing somebody could turn your clothes into a headline. Imagine taking your children somewhere and wondering whether somebody is watching. Imagine making one innocent facial expression and then seeing 5 people on television arguing about what it supposedly meant. That's exhausting just thinking about it. Most regular people would lose their minds. You go to the supermarket looking rough because you just need milk, and suddenly somebody's writing, "Shopping trip reveals shocking new side of Miles. Leave me alone." So when I look at Meghan's situation, that's my concern. She worked incredibly hard to build a life where she could have more control over her privacy. And now she's potentially walking back into the very environment that made that privacy so difficult. That's why I don't understand people who are treating this like some giant victory for the UK media. No, this isn't about who won. This is about a family, Harry, Meghan, Archie, Lilibet, and I want them to be able to live without every little thing becoming public property. So yes, I support Harry and Meghan. Yes, I will stand behind them. But I'm also going to say exactly how I feel. I'm nervous. I'm watching the British press. I'm watching the photographers. I'm watching the commentators. Because if this family really is coming back, then the question isn't just whether Harry and Meghan are ready. The real question is whether Britain is ready to treat them differently. Because Squaddies, Meghan has already been through enough. She shouldn't have to come back and relive the same madness all over again. And if the UK media starts up with the old nonsense, well, we're going to be watching. Squaddies, this is the part of the story that honestly gets to me, because let's take a step back. Harry and Meghan didn't just leave Britain and then sit around wondering what to do with themselves. They built a whole new life. They found their own home, they created their own projects, they started working on things they actually cared about, and most importantly, they got some distance from that constant British media noise. For Meghan, I think that breathing space mattered. Imagine going from waking up and wondering what the newspapers are saying about you to waking up and being able to focus on your family and your own work. That's a huge difference. She could work on her projects without every little thing immediately becoming a royal scandal. She could spend time with Archie and Lilibet. She could build friendships. She could experiment with new ideas. She could simply exist without somebody turning every move into a national debate. And that's why this news has me scratching my head. I'm sitting here thinking, Squaddies, didn't we fight for this woman to have some peace? Didn't we spend years saying leave Meghan alone? Stop analysing her, stop following her, stop turning every tiny thing she does into another headline. Let this woman live. And now potentially she's going back into that environment? I'm sorry, but I'm nervous. I'm not angry with Meghan. I'm not angry with Harry. I don't know what conversations they've had privately, and I certainly don't know what Harry's relationship with his father looks like behind closed doors. If Harry wants to be closer to Charles, I understand that. That's his dad. Life is short. Family matters. And if Harry feels this is the right moment to spend more time with his father, I'm not going to sit here and tell him he's wrong for that. But I can still look at Meghan and say, girl, I hope you're ready. Because this isn't just Harry going home. If Meghan and the children are going with him, then the whole family is stepping back into an environment that hasn't always been kind to them. And that's where my concern comes from. I don't want Meghan paying the price for Harry wanting to be closer to his family. That's the part I really want people to understand. Harry can want reconciliation. He can want to see his father. He can want his children to know their grandfather. All of that is completely understandable. But Meghan shouldn't suddenly have to become public property again. She shouldn't have to tolerate photographers everywhere. She shouldn't have to explain every decision. She shouldn't have to smile for cameras just because people are curious. And she certainly shouldn't have to relive the same media circus that pushed her and Harry to seek a different life in the first place. That's why I'm conflicted, Squaddies. My heart says, if this is what Harry and Meghan want for their family, support them. But my other voice is sitting there going, please don't let Britain drag you back into the madness. Because freedom isn't just about where you live, it's about having control of your life. It's about being able to close the door at the end of the day and know that your family has some peace. And I want Meghan to keep that. So yes, I support Harry and Meghan. I support their right to make this decision. But I also reserve the right to be nervous about it. Because when you've watched somebody finally escape an environment that was constantly picking them apart, you don't just stop caring when they decide to walk back through the door. You worry, you hope, you watch closely.
and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I just want Meghan to have the peace she fought so hard to find. That's all. And Britain, please don't make us regret welcoming them home.
Squaddies, I want to make one thing very clear. I understand Harry going back to Britain. I really do. That's his country, that's where he grew up, his family is there, his memories are there, his whole childhood is tied to that place. And if Harry is thinking about his dad and saying, I want to be closer to him, I'm not going to sit here and tell him that's wrong. That's family, that's personal. But Meghan, her relationship with Britain is very different. For Meghan, this isn't simply a case of going back to the place where she grew up. This is a country where she experienced an enormous amount of media attention and public scrutiny. And that's why I have concerns. Because I don't want people looking at Meghan's return and thinking, great, she's back, let's start the show again. No, absolutely not. She doesn't owe anybody a performance. She doesn't need to walk around smiling for cameras to prove she's happy. She doesn't need to explain every decision she makes. She doesn't need to answer every question shouted at her. And she certainly doesn't need to become some kind of royal entertainment package just because she's Harry's wife. Let the woman breathe. If Meghan goes shopping, let her shop. If she takes the children somewhere, leave them alone. If she attends a family gathering, let her attend. If she wants to keep her head down and get home, let her do that too. Because imagine being a normal person and having somebody analyze your facial expression every time you walk into a supermarket. You look tired, Meghan is miserable. You smile, Meghan is faking it. You don't wave, Meghan snubs Britain. You wave, Meghan desperate for attention. At that point, what exactly is the woman supposed to do? Float? That's why the media has a responsibility here. If Harry and Meghan really are returning, Britain has a chance to prove something. Not to Harry, not to Meghan, to itself. Because everybody keeps asking why the Sussexes are coming back. Fair enough. But I'm asking a different question. What has Britain learned? Has the media learned to leave people alone? Have photographers learned that a family needs privacy? Have commentators learned that not every Sussex appearance requires a 3-hour debate? And can Archie and Lilibet simply go to school without somebody turning the school gates into a tourist attraction? Because these are children, not content, not props, not little royal characters for adults to argue about online. They're kids. Let them have a childhood. And this is why I think the responsibility cannot all be placed on Harry and Meghan. They're making a family decision, but the environment they're returning to also has a choice. The press can choose restraint. Photographers can choose boundaries. Commentators can choose not to turn every Sussex move into breaking news. And the public can choose not to demand access to every private detail. Because if Britain genuinely wants to welcome this family back, then welcome them properly. Don't welcome them with one hand and put a camera in their face with the other. Don't say, we're happy you're home, and then immediately start digging into their children's lives. Don't drag Meghan back into the same madness she fought so hard to escape. And Squaddies, let me say this clearly. Being worried about Meghan doesn't mean we're against Harry and Meghan. Quite the opposite. It's because we support them that we're protective. I can say, Harry, I understand why you want to be closer to your father. And at the exact same time say, Meghan, I hope Britain treats you better this time. Those two things can exist together. So if the Sussexes are coming back, I'm not going to spend my time attacking them. I'm going to watch, I'm going to hope, and I'm going to expect the British media to behave differently. Because Harry and Meghan may be returning to Britain, but they are not returning to be hunted. They are returning as a family, and Britain needs to give them the space to live like one. Let Meghan breathe. Let those children grow up, and let Harry come home without the circus following him through the door. Thanks for watching, Squaddies. I'm your host, Miles. Love you all. And remember, Harry and Meghan may be coming back to Britain, but the Sussexes are not coming back for the royal circus. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next episode. God bless you all, stay blessed, and behave yourselves.